Hey, what is going on, everyone? So recently, the developers for Once Human had a developer stream going over the 1.2 update that is releasing on September 26th. They had a Q&A portion of the stream, as well as going into some more details about Prismsverse Clash, which is the new PvP scenario releasing on the 26th, and a few other things that they covered as well. So we'll cover all that information in the video today, and if this video does end up helping you out, definitely drop a like and subscribe to help support the channel. But without further ado, let's hop into it. So the first part of the stream was a Q&A where they answered some common questions from the community. So they did confirm that the ability to change genders and delete characters is coming. However, they do not have a specific date on that just yet. They also did mention that they are working on the Prime War lag. They have made a few optimizations already, but they have more to come. And there should be an update coming at the end of October that specifically addresses those issues. Also, they were asked if more furniture blueprints and wallpaper prints were coming to the game, and yes, they did say there are a ton of new furniture blueprints and prints that are coming to the game, but they could not be specific in when those are actually coming, and also what types of blueprints and prints will be in the game. So be on the lookout for that. And then also related to construction and furniture blueprints, they are looking into a higher limit for construction. Now, this is something that they said obviously puts a lot of stress on their servers, so they have to be really careful with the higher limit that they're going to be trying to do. So they are currently testing it right now, and they did seem pretty hopeful that they will be able to increase the limit, but it wasn't something that was 100% guaranteed. So hopefully it's something that we do end up seeing, because I know a lot of people have been looking for an update like that, but it is something that they are testing currently, but no specific date on that yet. And then the last useful question, at least in my opinion, from the Q&A was about having an auction house in the game. So they did confirm that they have no plans to add an auction house into the game, and that would be replacing the vending machine system that they currently have in the game. The main reason for that, they said, is that an auction house is primarily transaction based, and they don't want their trading or their selling to be based just purely on transactions. They said that they really do care about player interactions with those sort of things, so they will be keeping the vending machine system in the game. However, they did mention that they will be continuing to optimize it as well, and hopefully, in my opinion, they add some sort of list or some sort of way of seeing every single vending machine on the map, just so that you can see what everyone is selling, and then you can go to those specific locations to buy things from those vending machines. All right, so now let's talk about the two upcoming scenarios coming to the game. The first one is coming on September 26th. It is a new PvP scenario called Prismsverse Clash, and then we have a new PvE scenario coming to the game on October 17th called the Way of Winter. Now, if you are looking to play both of these new scenarios on day one, you are in luck, because the Prismsverse Clash scenario that's releasing on September 26th is only going to be a 19-day scenario. So the developers mentioned that if you join the scenario on day one, you will be able to join the Way of Winter scenario on October 17th on day one as well. Now, they did mention that, of course, if you do join Prismsverse Clash a little bit later, then you're also going to be joining the Way of Winter scenario a little bit later as well. And they also did talk about how the Prismsverse Clash scenario will work. So it's going to be a faction-based scenario, which we did know, and it's going to be the Mayflies versus Rosetta. And then you will be fighting over something new added to the game called prism deviations. So you will have to secure these prism deviations that will give you prism energy for your faction, and the faction that ends with the most prism energy at the end of the scenario will win. And there will be a total of 11 prism deviations that you can secure in this scenario. 9 of those are deviations that we've seen before, and they will give you 10 prism energy based on the level of deviation when you secure it. And then there will be 2 new deviations added, the Berserkosaurus Rex, which will give you 200 prism energy when you secure it. And then the best deviation to get is going to be the Radiant one, which will give you 400 prism energy when you secure secure it. Now, those last two, the Berserkosaurus Rex and the Radiant one, they did say are very rare to get. That is why they are worth a lot more prism energy. Now, they did provide a few guidelines on how to secure prism deviations. So number one, you must be in a contest area to secure a prism deviation, and they cannot be secured in safe zones. So that is something that is new with this scenario, is there are specific contest areas as well as specific safe zones. So in contest areas, PvP will be enabled, and then in safe zones, it will not be. So you must secure a prism deviation in a contest area. And then also number two, prism deviations will take between 30 minutes and 2 hours to secure, depending on the rarity of the deviation. And number three, if you teleport, enter a safe zone, are defeated by another player, or enter a dungeon while carrying a prism deviation in your backpack, the prism deviation will escape and return to the contest area. So you'll essentially lose it. Prism deviations will also be lost if they are held in a securement facility in your territory, and the facility is then destroyed before the securement is complete. So make sure that when you're securing these prism deviations, you don't accidentally destroy the securement unit that they're in before they're actually secured. And you have to be careful, because carrying prism deviations will actually mark you on the map. Now, I'm not too sure if this means that if it's just in your backpack, it will get marked on the map, or does it have to be in a securement unit to get marked on the map? I'm not too sure about that, but I do know that the more prism deviations that you have, the larger the mark on the map will be. And this is significant because other players from the other faction can steal your prism deviation. So you're gonna wanna make sure that you protect these as best that you can. And regarding those 9 prism deviations that we have seen those deviations before in previous scenarios, they will behave the same as the other deviations that we've already seen. However, they will get unique traits, so it's kind of similar to the different variants that you can get of the deviation. And also, in order to get these prism deviations, to get the electric eel, you'll need to fish in contest areas. To get Digby Boy or Logging Beaver, you need to gather in contest areas. And then to get Space Turner, Upper World Spawn, Extra Dimensional Cat, Grumpy Bulb, Dr. Teddy, or Mr. Wish, you need to complete public crisis events in contest areas. And then to get the 2 new prism deviations, the Berserkosaurus Rex and the Radiant one, you need to complete public crisis events, the Dark Side, Dig to Hell, Paradise Lost, Operation Chiron, or the Manibus one. And not only does this scenario last 19 days, which is something that we've never had before, but it also only has 4 total phases. So the 4th phase will be the settlement phase, so it really only has 3 main phases. The first phase, called Prism Descent, will last 5 days. The second phase, called Clash at Blackfell, will last 7 days. And then the third phase, called The Last Stand, will last 7 days for a total of 19 days. And also, as usual, more things will get unlocked as the phases go on. So in the first phase, the entire map won't be unlocked, but once you hit phase 2, the whole map will open up, and then you can see all the different game modes, events, monoliths that will unlock as you progress through the phases right here. Also, something important to note is that prism deviations will spawn during every phase. However, Berserkosaurus Rex will only spawn during phases 2 and 3, and the Radiant one will only spawn in phase 3. Also, they have a new kind of passive event here called Sanctuary. So this applies to all phases, and every day from midnight to noon, I'm assuming that is going to be in Pacific time. That's usually how they time things with this game. But from midnight to noon, all buildings are under protection and will receive 70% less damage from opposing metas. So I imagine this is probably their least inactive hours that they've seen on their servers. So they are just going to make it so that people just don't lose their entire base, or at least it's a lot harder to lose their entire base during those hours. And lastly, on phases 2 and 3, if the leading faction has at least 60% prism energy, it will gain a 20% buff to prism deviation securement speed, so that will allow it to get even further. So really by phase 2, you're going to want to try to be the leading faction. And then also the trailing faction will get 20% damage reduction on its buildings and a 20% buff to gathering efficiency. Also, there will not be war bands in this specific scenario because you will have a leaderboard for each faction, and based on how your faction does throughout the different phases, you'll be able to get different Star Crumb rewards based on the score of your faction. They will also, of course, have season goals for this scenario where you'll be able to earn some Star Crumb, some ciphers, the usual stuff. They also have something called Legacy of Conflict loot crates, so that is unique to this specific scenario, I believe. So yeah, you will also have your season goals as you normally do with the scenarios. And if your faction ends up winning the scenario or there is a tie, you will get 9 Legacy of Conflict loot crates, and if you are the losing faction, you will receive 6 Legacy of Conflict loot crates. And of course, because there is a leaderboard, the top players for each faction on the leaderboard will also get individual rewards, and they also did mention that you'll be able to share those rewards with one other player. And lastly, for this scenario, they did mention that you will not drop your gear when you die in this scenario, which is great to hear. And also, you will have a multiplier on your resources. So when you're going and gathering and logging and all that sort of stuff, you will get more resources quickly. So that will allow you for this 19-day scenario to really speed up the timeline and get ready for PvP. And then regarding the upcoming PVE scenario called Way of Winter that is coming on October 17th, they didn't give a lot of details here, but they did mention there will be new survival mechanics that we have heard before for this specific scenario, particularly going into the mountain region where there's going to be cold mechanics that we're going to have to deal with. But they also did mention there will be a stream coming mid-October that will reveal more details for this update, and the Way of Winter update will be update 1.3. And they're also introducing something new called Scenario Workshop. So essentially what this is gathering community ideas for scenarios. And if your idea gets chosen, you will be able to win money and then maybe even have your scenario idea get implemented into the game. So if I can find a link for this, because they just announced it, but if I can find a link for it, I'll definitely put it in the description down below if you are interested in submitting your own scenario ideas for the game. And they also did talk about animal breeding, which is also coming with the September 26th update for update 1.2. And they talked about a few details on what is required for animal breeding. You will need a high tame level for your animal. The animal will need to be in adulthood. And then also you are going to need to build something new called the youngling hut. And they're also adding an appearance system in the game for animals, so you will notice that animals will have different patterns on them, and then when those animals breed, you will notice that the offspring for those animals can have unique appearances. And they also mentioned that there will be 3 new tameable animals in the game. So these are animals that have already been in the game, but you weren't able to tame them before. So the capybara, the flamingo, and the leopard will now be able to be tamed in the game. And a few other kind of rapid fire updates, and these will be a little bit all over the place, is that they are now adding a new entrance screen, as they called it, for Eternaland. Well, you'll be able to see other people's islands kind of in this cool looking menu. I'll have an image on the screen that shows it, and you'll be able to upvote the islands that you like, and the more upvotes that an island has, the bigger it will look on this entrance screen, hopefully getting more people to click on it. They will also be adding a new weapon blueprint into the game, and this is a highly anticipated one. Yes, it is the katana that is going to be added into the game as a blueprint. Previously, you could only get the katana as a dropped weapon, so now you will actually be able to have a blueprint for it, which is just really great news, and I think a lot of people will be excited about this. There's also going to be new Twitch drops for the 1.2 update, so you can see them on the screen here. I will be streaming over on my Twitch channel, so you can earn these rewards just by watching my stream. I'll have my link to my Twitch channel in the description down below if you're interested in following me and getting notified when I go live with Once Human. And they're also going to be adding a new loot crate into the game, and this one has a new type of item in it. It has a car skin that you can see on the screen right here, so you'll be able to get this through the new loot crate. And then 2 other updates related to Twitch is they're going to be having a Twitch streamer battle in order to promote the new PvP scenario, prismsverse Clash. So these Twitch streamers will be able to form their own teams, and then they will go ahead and battle each other. And they also did mention that there will be a new Twitch bounty board with cash rewards. We didn't get a lot of details about what exactly this is, but I imagine this is something they're going to be announcing in their Discord, and there will be cash rewards based on how much you stream or maybe specific things you do while streaming. So keep your eyes on the Discord for more information about that. And of course, they also did show some redeemable codes throughout the stream as well. So there were 2 redeemable codes, each of them for 500 Star Crom, as well as a butterfly crate. So I will have those codes down in the description below. I believe they said they expired on October 31st, so make sure you use them before that date. And also, we do have an entire section dedicated in our Discord to cosmetic and resource codes that have been posted since the launch of the game. So some of them have already expired, but some of them are still active. So if you're interested in checking out more codes, I will put a link to my Discord down in the description below, and feel free to join our community. And there you have it, folks. Those are the major updates from the dev stream. Let me know what you think about it in the comments down below. I'm definitely interested to hear what you have to say. I think prismverse Clash seems pretty interesting, especially since they are toying with the length of the scenario and they're trying out a few different things. So I am curious to see kind of what the length of the future scenarios will be. Will they be as long as the ones that we started with? Will they be a lot shorter? I'm just kind of curious to see what they're going to be doing with that, but I would love to see your feedback down in the comment section below. And yeah, thank you so much for watching. Of course, if you enjoyed today's video, be sure to like and subscribe to help support the channel. I really appreciate all your support. I can't express it enough. And of course, if you do want to join our Discord community, like I mentioned, that link is down in the description as well. So thank you so much for watching. I do appreciate it, and I will catch you in the next video. Take care, folks.